This is Michael Popok, Legal AF. Donald Trump has become an annuity for his victim of his sexual abuse, E Jean Carroll, because he keeps going on different right-wing media outlets and defaming her. And including, and if you're looking for the one to go to, I guess it's Newsmax, who has a lot of experience with defamation cases because they've been on the other end of being sued for defamation a number of times. So if you want to go and you want to go defame the victim of your sexual assault, you go on Greg Kelly's show on Newsmax. And on there, Donald Trump, just recently, because he has a fixation, an irrational fixation. He's unhinged when it comes to E Jean Carroll. And he does not understand the fundamentals of defamation law, or the fact that he owes her $88.3 million as adjudged by two separate civil New York juries, federal juries, in the last 2 years, including for substantial punitive damages, all running with interest, for which he had to go get a bond posted by the Chubb Insurance Group of upwards of $100 million, running with interest that he has to replenish on a regular basis because he can't stop defaming E Jean Carroll, who, again, a jury, not one but two, adjudged that he sexually assaulted. And so he goes on Greg Kelly's show and he phones in. He literally phones it in. But of course, everybody's listening and everybody's watching. He doesn't have to talk about E Jean Carroll. He just got convicted of 34 counts of business record fraud in furtherance of a second crime, likely election fraud. He's got bigger fish to fry than to continue to go after the victim of a sexual assault. But he does it because he's unhinged. This is the person that's going to be nominated in July as the leader of one of the two and only two major parties in America. And even when he's asked the question, it becomes a non sequitur. He can't help himself but to bash E Jean Carroll. He seems to want to make a broader point about all the judges are out to get him and he can't get a fair trial and it's a kangaroo court. He said in the same interview that I'm going to play a clip from with Newsmax, Mother Teresa couldn't get a fair trial in New York. Oh, and then he whined because he's such a snowflake. He whined that none of the jurors ever smiled at him during the recent fraud case. You can't get a fair trial there. They won't smile at me. What's there to smile about? I mean, none of those jurors, all 12 of them, this was a criminal case in state court, all 12 of those Manhattanites that were just going about their business until they got the jury summons. They got lashed together into a thing we call a criminal jury trial. It became criminal jurors now for life. It'll end up being in their respective obituaries if they end up telling the world that they were jurors. Remember, they're anonymous. As of right now, we don't even know who they are. None of them want to come forward. They all took it seriously about the judge making them anonymous to protect them. None of the anonymous jury wanted to smile at Donald Trump. Oh. But more importantly, you've got an amazing, tenacious, creative lawyer representing E Jean Carroll, Roberta Kaplan. We've had her on the show. We've interviewed her. We'll have her back. Robbie, who I know from New York practice, is E Jean Carroll's lawyer and has done a masterful job in not one but two cases. She won $5.5 million in the first case from the first jury. She won $83.5 million from the second jury. And it's running with interest at very high interest rates in New York. When their appeal is over and Donald Trump loses, that $100 million that's posted in bond is going to go over to E Jean Carroll. The lawyers are going to take a little bit of it because they worked hard for free. And the rest is going to go to E Jean Carroll. But Donald Trump is making new bad facts. I tell my clients all the time when they come to me, I can't do anything about some interesting, unique, maybe bad set of facts, not in the past. But now that you're with me, now that I am your lawyer, don't make any bad new facts. No bad, all fresh, virgin snow. I don't want any new bad facts I got to deal with. But every day, Donald Trump creates new bad facts for his lawyers because he doesn't care. And it's one thing that it was like $5 million. For him, that was like chump change, not Trump change, chump change. It was like folding money in his pocket. But $83.5 million, he had to go to a bonding company for that. He had to get Chubb Insurance to post almost $100 million bond. He had to get another insurance company to post a 460, or it was actually reduced to about $200 million bond in New York. He's running out of cash. So for some people that say, well, this is just a toll on his road, that he just pays because he wants to bash her? I don't think so. But he can't stop. And every day his lawyers have to wake up to another clip. Let's play the clip of him going after E Jean Carroll. Listen to it. And it's not the only time he did it. He did it in a second interview with Dr. Phil. Let's play both clips. Boom.
I mean, we asked for a venue change as soon as we heard this was the venue, because Republicans get virtually, very little vote. And it's a very, very liberal Democrat area. And so I knew we were in deep trouble. Of course, they'd only bring cases in areas like that. We wanted to be moved to Staten Island, where they just had a big party for Trump. But we wanted it to be moved to another part of New York where I can get a fair trial. I said, there's no way. You heard me say long before the verdict that Mother Teresa couldn't get a fair trial here. I said that. And no, you couldn't. I never saw a glimmer of a smile from the jury. No, this was a venue that was very unfair. It's a tiny fraction of the people are Republicans.
I get prosecuted on a person that I have no idea who she is. I have no idea who she is. I have to pay $91 million. I have to pay $91 million to a woman. I have no idea who she is. She wrote a book and she made a statement in the book. And you know that case. That case is a disaster. And then but I have no idea who she is. They said I did things, but it's such an honor to have somebody like you see it and see it so clearly.
A small regret is sitting in a dentist chair thinking, I should have flossed and brushed better. A big regret is listening to your doctor and thinking, I should have paid attention to nutrition when I was younger. Better help today, and when it matters most, is why I take Field of Greens. Field of Greens is unlike any fruit and vegetable or green product. Field of Greens isn't watered down extracts. Field of Greens is organic superfood. It's whole fruits and vegetables. Each fruit and vegetable was selected by doctors to support vital body functions like heart, liver, kidneys, metabolism, and immune system. And only Field of Greens is backed by a better health promise. At your next checkup, your doctor will notice your improved health or your money back. Don't look back and say, I should have paid attention to nutrition when I was younger. Field of Greens is a key to better health today and when it matters most. Let's get you started with 15% off and free shipping. Visit fieldofgreens.com and use promo code LegalAF. That's promo code LegalAF at fieldofgreens.com. All right. He phones it into Kelly, and then he's got the interview with Dr. Phil. And in both, he's basically saying the same thing. I don't know the woman. I never met the woman. She's a phony. It's a lie. And I got to pay money, a lot of money because of it. I met her once. It was in a photograph. I love that way he downplays the fact that they did know each other well. They moved in similar circles in the 1980s or 1990s because she was sexually assaulted and raped by him in a dressing room at Bergdorf Goodman's, the department store directly across from Trump Tower or diagonal from Trump Tower. They met at a social engagement black tie event. She was married. E Jean Carroll was, not only was she well known herself as a editor for Elle magazine and a little bit of a gossip columnist as well, but she was married to a very well known local newscaster, Jim Johnson. And there's a picture of her, Jim Johnson, and Donald Trump, and Donald Trump's first wife, Ivana. And that's the famous picture where Donald Trump thought that E Jean Carroll was his other wife, Marla Maples. Think about the narcissism of this. First of all, he's so doddering that he thought there was a photo of two of his wives in the same photo. It also destroyed his credibility in front of the jury. No crap. Because he had already said that E Jean Carroll was not his type. 78-year-old Donald Trump pointing to 80-year-old E Jean Carroll or whatever her age is. I apologize. I'm not quite sure. I think it's somewhere. They're about the same age. And saying, oh, look at her. This is not my type, because he still thinks he's some sort of 30-year-old playboy bon vivant in, Bonfire of the Vanities, New York in the 1980s, the Masters of the Universe. And he's not. He's an overweight, disgusting old man who can barely put his pants on in the morning. And then he's continuing to attack women in a misogynistic way for their personal appearance, their physical appearance. Okay. But when you go back and look at her, he not only was it his type, he thought it was his ex-wife, Marla Maples. Again, thinking Marla and Ivana were in the photo at the same time. Okay, let's put away that mental geniusness. You have Donald Trump, who even facing $80 million in punitive damages, which Robbie Kaplan turned to that second jury and said to them, he's continuing to defame my client even while this case is going on. They had a printer in the courtroom. They literally printed out social media posts by Donald Trump during the trial in which he defamed her, to get the jury to understand they needed to send a message, a punitive damages message, a message of punishment. That's what punitive damages are. And make him stop. What is the amount, they said to the jury, that will make him stop? And the jury responded, 80 million plus. Now, what do you think the future jury is going to do as he continues to defame her, says it never happened, says she doesn't know who she is, says she's unhinged, she's crazy, and the like? All right. I'd love to be on jury number 3. I'll just cover it instead on Legal AF and on the MeidasTouch network. Right here on the MeidasTouch network. You can free subscribe and help them get to 3 million free subscribers. And then we have a show. Now you know why we called it 4 years ago, Legal AF, the podcast. It's on Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern time. We curate the top 4 or 5 stories at the intersection of law and politics like this one. We bring it to you unfiltered right here on only one network, and then video, YouTube, and then you can pick it up on all major podcast platforms. And then I do hot takes like this, I don't know, about every hour right here on the MeidasTouch network. And as a practicing lawyer and practicing in the courtrooms that I talk about, federal and state, we try to bring in some people to be interviewed on occasion that are really interesting, like Robbie Kaplan, the lawyer for E Jean Carroll. I'd love to get E Jean Carroll one day to come onto the show. I think we'll reach out to Robbie and see if we can make that happen. But until my next hot take, until my next Legal AF, this is Michael Popok reporting. Heary, heary, Legal AF Law Breakdown is now in session. Go beyond the headlines and get a deep dive into the important legal concepts you need to know and we discuss every day on Legal AF. Exclusive content you won't find anywhere else, all for the price of a couple of cups of coffee. Join us at patreon.com/legalaf. That's patreon.com/legalaf.